TV.
Bale anga okondeka Malawi kulikonse kumene muli, ndabweranso ine mwana wanu Alexius Kamangira amene nkhani yanga ikulu ndi yachilungamo. I am an advocate for justice. I advocate for justice. Ndakhandikugwira ntchito imeneyi kwa zaka zambiri. Koma nkhani imene yabwera pano si ya Alexius kuti Alexius ndi ndani. Nkhani imene yabwera pano ndikufuna nditambasule za nkhaza zomwe analandira anthu ochokera maiko ena amene mwachidule timanena kuti ma refugees. Koma mgulu limene lili muli anthu ambiri mbiri, ena anali kuti ndi ma refugees idi, ena anali kuti ndi ma investors. They had become investors by virtue of the business that they were doing. Ena anali anthu amene anali ma asylum seekers. Ma asylum seekers anthu amene amakhala kufuna kupempha kuti dziko lawo kumene afikiralo kuchoka maiko awo liavomere kuti azikhala mdzikomo ngati nzika ya maziko ya mdzikomo. So panali anthu ambiri mbiri amene zinthu zimene zinakhuza, ndipo mu summary yake kapena kuti mwachidule kwa kungozifotokoza mwachidule mwina in seconds nzonena kuti boma la Malawi linasiya kusatira malamulo, linapanga nkhaza, linagwirira azimayi, anthu anamangidwa mosavomerezeka, anthu ankapitisidwa m'manyumba mwawo kunkapita apolisi, asilikali komanso anyamata achipani. Izizi ndikamakamba mwina ena mutha kugwidwa manyazi kapenanso mwina chisoni kapenanso ena kuzizidwa thupi nkuona ngati mwina tingoonjezera, koma nkhani zinachitika. Pena ndiziwerenga chifukwa nkhani ndi yayikulu and nkhani yonena kuti ndikupempha dziko la Malawi kunena kuti lipange inquiry, commission of inquiry. Minister of Homeland Affairs Mukito komanso Honorable Chisale, this issue muitenge serious. I'll be writing you in the week that is coming. Week imene kubwera ndiye mbera chibaluwa Minister of Homeland Affairs komanso Minister of Homeland Security komanso Foreign Affairs kuti nkhani imeneyi komanso Minister of Justice anthu onsewa ndi alembera kalata. Pempho ndilonena kunena kuti nkhaza zimene anthu amene wawo analandira zifufuzidwe, ndipo amene anali responsible onsewo alandire chilango. Koma padali panopa pali anthu atatu amene ndimaziwa ndi umboni ogwirika bwinobwino kuti anali responsible kupanga nkhaza zoopsa, amene anasogolera kupanga nkhaza kwa anthu ochokera maiko ena. Anali Azikhale Ng'oma amene anali Minister of Homeland, ndipo ena anali Dr. Stephen Kayuni amene anali PS wa ku Homeland, komanso Justice Kenyatta Nyirenda amene anapasidwa milandu yonseyi ndipo ankangoyikhalira milandu ija osanongosola bwinobwino. So there was a lot of things including corruption that was coming in the context of political influence, in the context of soliciting money from these refugees and these asylum seekers and the investors and all that. So tikambirana zambiri ndikuyesa kuti tiyankhwane in 1 hour. I should be done in 1 hour. Musa ndiyamba kufotokoza mchizungu chifukwa this is an international issue. Sindikuyankhulana ndi Malawi nokha, ndikuyankhulana ndi United Nations, ndikuyankhulana ndi the globe. The crimes amene anachitika ku Malawi, they are a concern to the whole world, and the failure of government to hold accountable the responsible people and also to remedy the violations of human rights, it's a violation in itself, and that's where we're going. And this is Minister of Foreign Affairs. This is serious. I'm speaking to you directly. Minister of Homeland Affairs, the Minister of Justice, and all other responsible people. This issue is huge. The inquiry is urgent, more urgent than some other inquiries that are about to happen. I will not mention which inquiries, but this inquiry is urgent. It speaks to the heart of what we are as Malawians. We are quick to talk about South Africa, the xenophobia that happened in South Africa. But for 4 years, we had participated or watched either passively by being passive or by being active in the persecution of people from other countries. In broad daylight, people's property was being taken, stolen. MCP boys, together with the army and the police, were going into people's houses. This happened in Malawi. It's not a movie. And I was in Malawi and I spoke out against Chakwera's government. We spoke out against Chakwera's government, but there was little that was done. And it was partly corruption within the government sector, within the civic space. There was corruption in the civic space, to the point where Inua advocacy, the most vocal and powerful and informed organization when it comes to refugees, when it comes to immigrants, when it comes to people, asylum seekers and all, was banned in Malawi for no reason. Up to now, Minister Mukito, together with the Deputy Minister Chisale, and the Minister of Justice, and all the people that are responsible, they can't tell us why Inua was banned. There are no justifications. The police inspector of police, Dr. Noyo Kaira, the ones that is responsible to work with refugees and all those, they cannot tell us why Inua, led by Innocent Gambi, was banned in Malawi. This is blatant impunity, where you violate human rights and you are so blatant to it and you don't care to respect rule of law and ban an organization that was the last hope for refugees in Malawi. Now, let me speak to the issues. This issue I'm speaking from a personal experience, because I was part of everything, together with Comrade Charles Kajolweka, together with late Matanda, Leon Matanda, who attended one of the first press briefings that we had. You can check this out. You can check these things out. You know, before you say Kamangira and the lawyer on Facebook, Kamangira Ango Yanko on Facebook, you are so ignorant, and this ignorance is by choice, because you have all the information to know who Kamangira is. I'm not a random person. I've always told you these things. I'm not an ordinary lawyer you find in Malawi. I'm extraordinary. Counsel extraordinaire, you know, counsel extraordinary. I'm an extraordinary lawyer. But above all, I'm an extraordinary human being. That's what is more important. I am not an ordinary human being. I'm an extraordinary human being. And that's what we all have to be extraordinary human beings before we become extraordinary in our professionals, in our jobs, and in whatever things we're doing. To begin with, Malawi, so I'll be speaking from the information that I was collecting during the time that we're doing advocacy. These things might have developed. Obviously, the numbers that I'll be mentioning, they might have dropped because of the experiences. But by the time this persecution was beginning, 2021, Pana 2023, where these things didn't figure by Jimage, Kumalawi, we were hosting about 53,000 refugees and asylum seekers at the Nzarega refugee camp. So the Nzarega refugee camp was created to keep people that we can call refugees or asylum seekers, but the moment they then become citizens or become investors, then they are allowed to go and interact or live just like citizens. Now, at this time, we should be aware that we are talking about 53,000 during that time. I don't know now. I haven't spoken to colleagues on the ground on the numbers, but then it was 53,000 refugees. But Nzarega is a 200 hectares land, and so it was meant to accommodate 10,000 refugees, 10,000 refugees and asylum seekers, which meant it was 500 5 times more than what it was meant to take. Overcrowding, like overpopulated, like it's so bad. Like the overpopulation at Nzareka, so bad that when you go there, what you see is the inhumane treatment, the inhumane experience of the people. Now, the plan to relocate refugees to Nzareka becomes more ignorant and more stupid and unjustified and all that when you have these facts. But it's important to know, Guti, according to our observation at during this time, the refugees, or most of them, were from DRC. That made of 62%. And then from Burundi, they were just 23%. And then Rwanda had 14%. And then the rest was made up of Somalia, Ethiopians, those that are from Mozambique, Uganda, Eritrea, and other countries that maybe their figures are so minimal that we don't need to mention them. But it's interesting that even people from Mozambique, we have refugees from Mozambique. We have asylum seekers from Mozambique. So that should tell you the nature of refugee status and asylum seeking situation. That it doesn't matter whether your country is far or close. There are circumstances. It's not always about the war that we see, like people shooting each other, which makes people relocate to a different place and seek maybe asylum or seek refugee status where they are. I wanted to make it clear that during this time, it was assumed, or it has been saying over the years, that there were 8,000 refugees and asylum seekers that were looming around in Blantyre, in Lilongwe, and all those kind of places. So, though we had 53,000 being kept at Nzareka, which was meant to keep 10,000, there were 8,000 that were believed to be roaming around in villages and urban places. Now, this is where the bone of contention arises. Now, when I don't want to belabor with the law, there are a lot of laws, but the law that guides in terms of the convention relating to the status of refugees, Malawi is a signatory. But when it was it deposited, or when it was being part of that convention, it entered 9 reservations, and some of them were ridiculous because the rules of adopting a convention, you are not allowed to reserve on a provision which basically is the context, essentially speaks to the basis, or speaks to the volume, to the spirit of the convention. So if you can't reserve a provision, so reserving a provision, I'll explain it in detail, but it's basically an exemption. The idea of reservations within a convention are meant to encourage states to sign, because these are voluntary actions that states take. So in terms of international law, you try to attract more people to sign to these conventions. And one of which is to allow people to take reservations if some things are not in line with the policy of that time, or the policy direction of that country during that time. So they exempted Article 7 in terms of exemption from reciprocity. They exempted themselves from Article 13, Article 15, Article 17. So movable and immovable property, on rights association, on wage and earning employment. So like they reserve that a refugee, an asylum seeker, cannot be in employment to earn a living. So which also speaks to the problems that then you render these people dependent on a government, dependent on you as a government that is keeping these people, instead of allowing these people to earn a living, to then take care of them. Of course, there are justifications to this, to say, no, we can't allow people from other countries to take the jobs in a country where there are no jobs at all. And also there are those kind of things. But there are consequences to this, because if then you do not allow these people to work, to earn a living, then the powers, or rather the responsibility, the right word is the responsibility to take care of these people lies on the government. And that's where you have to balance. There was also a reservation on reservations on liberal professionals. There was a reservation on public education. They were not allowed to attend education, the public education that is offered. The freedom of movement, they were not having freedom there. But also Article 34, naturalization, they were not allowed to naturally become citizens of Malawi by virtue of staying in Malawi for a long time. And our Refugee Act was in 1989 one at that time. And there have been proposals for reform. I don't know where we are with that. But look, this might not be attractive to a lot of Malawians, especially the conversation for people about the rights of people from other countries. But the reality is, how you treat people from other countries, how your government treats people from other countries, reflects how your government treats you as citizens. Anywhere in the world, how foreigners are treated by the government does reflect how the government treats its own citizens. And I spoke during this time when it just began. I said, when this government, as this government is going after the refugees, then when they are done with the refugees, they will come after you. And it happened. It happened. We had Panga people. After they were done in 2024, in 2025, we had boys with Panga knives after Malawians. We had a woman who went to protest as a teacher, demanding better lives, better salary, demanding better welfare for fellow teachers. She was hacked in Ilongwe. And there's nothing that has happened up to now. Hacked right in Ilongwe. So I spoke about this in 2023 to say, when this government is done with the refugees, they will come after you. People, hey, you are protecting foreigners. Exactly what happened. And I'll get to that, because this is a honey, Yaman refugees, immigrants, asylum seekers, politicized. And that's what exactly the playbook which the Chakwera government used, where after their failure to run government, after their failure to start meeting or fulfilling the promises they made with their Tonse Alliance manifesto, then they stayed around to say it is these refugees that are failing you. We are failing to to meet the needs of our citizens because of refugees, because of people from other countries. It's the playbook of all government that have failed its citizens. Nimafuna kuti ningofotokoza apo ka background ndisanapitirize kunena kuti panaisoma commitment ambiri ngati Malawi inapanga a committee in 2016 to Comprehensive Refugee Response Framework, the CRRF, and the Global Refugee Forum in 2019, and pledged to incorporate refugees into the National Development Agenda, which is very critical. If your country has to progress, you take the best and you use also the rest to contribute to the development of the country. The reform its legal framework and also to support self-reliance of refugees through increased livelihood activity. So that's very critical, where you should have a particular policy on refugee law or on refugees in your country that enables self-reliance of refugees, because then it improves productivity of the country. So instead of hatred, instead of looking at refugees as people that are taking your opportunities, the same ignorant statements that South Africans are making on other foreigners within South Africa, to think that the foreigners are taking their jobs, which is never justified. Because when you look at South Africa, you find that you look at the economy, like how much economy is run by black people, and also you find that the white people in South Africa manage the economy. You know, they are the people that dominate the economy. They are the ones that, you know, but there's never been a xenophobia or an attack on white people. And that's where the black man is sad reality. A black person is a sad reality because it's a poverty mentality where poor people are very good at killing each other and fighting each other, where the well-to-do protect each other no matter what. So I'll give you an example. If someone steals in a community or in the villages, they steal clothes or they are found stealing petty things like pots or kitchenware or even a TV. Let's assume a TV within our villages, even in our townships. When they are caught, they are beaten. If they are caught, they are beaten to death. If they are lucky, they will get to the police, but really hurt and needing immediate medical attention. But usually they are actually bent for stealing clothes outside, you know, second-hand clothes, or stealing kitchenware, or stealing very appliances, you know, like, you know, electrical appliances. If the same action is done by a politician who steals billions, they will be worshiping him and protecting him. Even after he's dead, they will protect him. He was great, that man. He was stealing billions from you. Your children were dying in the hospital. Because people are quick to say, you protect the criminals. You always defend the thieves. Thieves don't have rights. They do. They are human beings. A thief has rights. A suspect, worse still, a suspect has got rights. A suspect is a human being. He or she is a human being. And a convict has got rights. They have rights because they are human beings. As long as somebody is a human being, so poor people hate themselves too much that they kill each other. But when a criminal of the highest order, a politician like Lazarus Chakwera, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera has stolen billions, if not trillions, from Malawians. But what happens? The poor Malawians will protect him and cover him. Bwana, hey, boss, big man, boss, you are the one. Hey, you speak good English. Hey, you are very calm. You speak, you know, you are a pastor. A pastor does not steal from people. A God-fearing man does not steal from people. Chakwera stolen from Malawians billions, but he's protected. No one would even stone him. No one is even allowed to speak badly of him. Mbagiri Munuzi stole billions from Malawians. He has continued to steal in his clever way. But there are clear 1 billion that he stole by 2000s. You know, by 2001 time too, he had stolen that money. He has kept on being respected as the father of the nation. Dr. Hastings Kamusbanda stole billions. He was, in today's value, he stole a lot. He was richer than the country at some point, but he still. So I can go on and on, but the point I'm driving at is black people. They hate each other. That when they're doing xenophobia, which is meant to fight foreigners, the foreigners that they target will be black people. The Indians in their community will not be touched. The white people that are there illegally will not be touched. It's something that the black person has to rise up. You need to rise up. Because people from Rwanda, from Burundi, people from other countries, in fact, in Africa, should not even have been requiring to have a visa to come in the country. Should not even be required, because they're Africans. Africa should be open to Africans. But black people, you are stupid. You can't even be blaming the white people. The white people did their crimes against black people. Now it's our time. We continue to commit crimes against ourselves. The story of Malawi, chasing, killing, raping, stealing property from people from Burundi, from people from Rwanda, people from DRC. It's the most hypocritical, ludicrous, stupid thing a nation can do. And that to be foreseen, to be overseen by a government, to be overseen by the military, to be overseen by the police, is It's shameful, to say the least, but it's unbelievable. And the fact that up to now we haven't heard accountability, even intentions to follow. In fact, the current government, there are also some gangsters within that government that are trying to also steal from refugees, to continue stealing. And that's why they wouldn't want Inua to come. And the biggest of all more, maybe I might forget this, there is human trafficking that is connected to issues of people from other countries. And some people in authority and some people in places of power, they are mentioned in the issue of human trafficking. And this issue is ripe. There is a huge investigation that is ongoing. The people are aware, the people that are in government are involved. Some people that are out of government are involved. Human trafficking is one of the reasons why Nhani Yama refugee imango ponderezedwa. Because some people benefit through trafficking people that are desperate. I know the key players involved in this human trafficking. They are powerful, but they are not impenetrable. They are powerful, but they are not gods. They are human beings, so we're going to get them down. But today, I'm focusing as I celebrate, or I commemorate, because it's not a celebration, but a of this population. 3 years, because it began strictly, beginning or more concretely in May, on 17th May 2023, and today is 17th May 2026. So 3 years, no justice. Justice must be done. I don't know if I should go on to communicate, to speak to this in terms of the details of this issue. But the key issues that we observed as civil society, people that were on the ground, we observed that there were gross human rights violations that included rape. Women were raped. There was theft of and loss of property. There were extortions, asking money for people to save themselves. There were robberies, daylight robberies, clear cut, crystal clear robberies. There were unlawful prison detentions of not limited, but including children and women. Yes, we had children and women at Maula prison, which is unacceptable. You can't arrest people for these kind of offenses. The law is clear on this. But people were being loaded in military vehicles, matata muja mazaza, antu kumaka tenga usiku matu as if they were criminals, as if they were. I have no words for Chakwera's government. And Chakwera has a lot of answers to give to the world, not only to Malawi, but Chakwera in many vicarious as the president. There's so many things that were happening, evil things that should never happen in a country that has got a president. And we're still a president that claims to know Christ. These Christians in Malawi, we cannot progress in that country if we don't start calling each other to account for our actions, both in the human structure and government, in criminal, in our red tables of morality, because we claim to be exemplary, and then you have a whole Christian who becomes president and oversees military and party cadres that are raping women because they are from other countries, that are stealing property. In palima video ambili mbili, including Khani ya kusalima eja imene jai mendita ikambe likakhaninta mwan because I was involved directly in the case ya muntu amene anaberedwa around 40 million in Salima. Ndiye polisi komanso anyamata achipani. But panali ma video ambiri mbiri muilongo anthu amapita ku shop paja kufika wepa jandu kusegwa matenga katundu mamenya anthu chinamba. President ali ku State House basi akuyanka kumayankhulira mphuno. Like, how did we get there? Now, apart from these things, I think I should clarify that the whole idea that government was trying to do was to apparently relocate the refugees from places that are not supposed to be found to Nzareka. Remember, Nzareka at that time had 53,000 people in an environment that was supposed to keep 10,000 people. Do you see the lack of wisdom? Like, things didn't make sense. Nothing was adding up. And at that time, funding for the Nzalega was already going down. In fact, they were putting out a lot of funding in terms of refugee. The UNHRC, the United Nations, Aminama Zama Ofura to Obera, Ujoga Maego Ena Bazifuga Sosiana Sia. Now, the issues that just to highlight, there were brutal human rights violations. Brutal, not just the mere human rights violations. We found that there were arbitrary detention, torture, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment of refugees and asylum seekers. I can say so many things that there were evidence. I've got names of refugees that faced these specific names, and I have a client that I was also representing who was in hiding. You know, there was detention of refugee and asylum seeking children. You know, Amamangiro. There were issues, allegations. There were other people, other women that were alleging that they were sexually abused, especially the females. You know, it was bad. There was issues of confiscation of property and businesses. There is evidence, there are videos, you know. There was so many things that happened and examples. I've got a whole document that I can share at an appropriate time that shows all these. There was corruption, impunity of abuse of office. You know, there were people like Johnny Nyonguru, who was tricked and extorted $60,000. They would do $60,000 by officials from UNHRC, IOM, and Malawi government officials. And this was money given or obtained to help him to appear on the list to resettle, for resettlement. So I can give one example. There's a female refugee that reported that she had slept with 3 officials who promised to secure a resettlement. There are so many, and these things were being released, and a lot of it were coming from, of course, the Jesuits have got an approach that they engage with refugees. Amazing work they're doing. But Inua advocacy brought out a lot of things because they were deep into working with the refugees, and they knew a lot, and their project was going amazing. Was doing amazing, was going great, was going to achieve so many things. They were the first aid for refugees. You know, they were present, they were living. Enua was living with the refugees right at the camp. They were right at the camp and engaging with, just as of course the Jesuits fathers, the Jesuits have got, you know, their own outreach, which is amazing. But Inua, how did we let Inua go? How did we let the government chase Inua for no reason? There were revocation of citizenship, and just because my refugees they were forced to give money. People stole millions from these people. They even took. Do you remember that there was an allegation that these people were keeping guns in their containers, and they were keeping machines that they were using to make fake money, and they took so many containers of belonging to the people of Mabulundi, Rwanda, and of course DRC, who, when we stay with these people, we learn that they actually are hardworking. Their shops are open. They're the first shops to be open. But not only with my Facebook. So not only do they are they the first ones to open the shops, but they are the last ones to close the shops. But further, when you go to their shops, you find everything you need at once. You want to buy some credit, you find credit. Hey, my units, I mean, you want this? Their shops have always been comprehensive for years. So they attract customers like that, and they in the business of ensuring that they sell more than they sell one thing at an expensive and exorbitant price. So they rather sell something at a lower price, but sell it 10 times. So instead of selling something 150, they'll sell it 100 kwacha, but they will sell 20 things. While a Malawian we want to put the thing that is you should have put at 120, which a Burundi or someone from another has put at 100, he would want to put it at 1,000. So you will sell 2 things or 1 thing a month, and in the end the things will expire and all sorts of things. They have a business acumen, like they have the intelligence. They are financially intelligent. They know the value of money, the way they handle things, and that's what we lack. And we thought that, no, they are taking our jobs, they are taking our markets, they are taking our places. And that's what the politician does. So, including, apart from those mere speculations, they raised allegations, goody, makontenao, these people, and hamene wao bwerawa, akutilanda nchilo zatu, akulanda nchilo za nanu, kumanso, akusungira zida za nkhondo. Pana tuka nkhani nditumpana ku bomwa lacha kwela ndopanda manyazi ndipo likuenda kuti momota azili mbana zokaika nkhata apepesa Malawi mu different now apepesa anthu ako Burundi ako Rwanda atipepese ifeyo poti onesa ngati anthu oyipa kapena kuti phunzisa kuwanamiza anthu ngati kuti iya muli zigawenga mene anatchula chigawenga china chake chimene chinagwidwa zaka za mbuyo ndi America. Like they are not even educated to understand kuti kunama kumafunika sonzeru. Amangukhala ngati chigoba chabakili News TV. You are running government mene hazo bela maendesera page ya Bagili News. Like that. Where you would go and like, hey, Alex Uzi, anapeleka mimba kwa huyu, osanchula zina mtu yo, osatanda. And then, because Malawians are good, because Malawians in those zizia, some, not all, but some will learn with it and all that. And that's how the Jagwera government was wanting to run. You can't run a government ngati mene hazo abelo ama indesera chigoba jage jabagili News TV. You can't do that. It's just a no. I get pissed off because Malawians are intelligent, we are brilliant people, we are hardworking, we are nice people, we are kind. And then you have the government acting like a wolf to fellow Africans. And these are things that I'm telling you for real. And Zikale Ngoma oversaw this. I'm a Kaniga for 1 year when I was in Malawi. Kuta kumane na fi civil society organization. But he was a minister of Homeland. He's one of the most stupid people I've ever met or I've never seen. He's not even conscious of the atrocities that he has committed to people. He smiles. What are you smiling, stupid man? Like, you, Zikale Ngoma, unazuzisa zimu wa Africans just to gain money, just to make money, just to steal from them. Evil people. Stephen Kayuni had been a career civil servant, brilliant, did his law degree, did his masters, did his PhD, from a proper university, human rights even, from a proper university in the UK. And he was continuing to, he was one of the best prosecutors that I know. Power go to him, and he thought that he can do all sorts of things. And did you know who empowered Dr. Steve Kayuni? It was Anthony Gamanga, retired. They were like this, the Anthony Gamanga. Steve Kayuni and Anthony Gamanga na lichonji kuliko even mama is the Steve Kayuni na Sinta amafuna kumaya nkulanga de minamba yankulira Anthony Gamanga. And that's how powerful Anthony Gamanga is. He gets into people and gets people because he's worshipped, respected. He has done great work. Drafting, he's one of the best drafters ever. But if somebody was a Solicitor General for years and years, he was Attorney General before, he ran the Ministry of Justice for years, and then he rose to the rank of the judge of the Supreme Court. You can't then go back to the ministry, council director. That's nonsense. The ministry, there's a reason why they put Anthony Kamanga where he is in Nkani corruption. Dude should leave the Ministry of Justice. And in a Charles Muhango, why do you have Anthony Kamanga as my lawyer? You mean the ministry doesn't have young people that have learned the art of drafting? You should be having Muntamela Banga graduate law school 20 years, not 20 years, 50 years ago. Somebody who graduated the law school 50 years ago as a director today. And you enjoy raping other people, raping the constitution, raping the law, raping the rule of law at your own benefit, but at your own pleasure. Steve Kayuni anaziona kuti wafikapo to the point where he oversaw all these things. I know what I'm talking about. Stephen Kayuni, and then who was the judge who was managing everything? Makesi wose abambobusa Nzigamanda, because that guy is evil. Nzigamanda, whoever mkaya ndabambwanu kando ndo yangani na mpingo ina kanda kumpingo mmacheza nao ndanzanu Nzigamanda ndo pepe ndo mbwambwana. There's no leadership in the judiciary. There hasn't been leadership since he's becoming the Chief Justice. Deputy Chief Justice Ajikuoba ama ngwasunta ngati kuti ndichopondera kwadu kaika apa chopondera umatha kuchitengale kuchika kusogolo kwa nyumba ma ukachika kumbuyo kuseri kwa nyumba sikuna ukachika ku toilet sikuna ukachika ku bafa sikuna ukachika ku bedroom. You can move chopondera. That's how Mzigamanda has been treated by Love Mochikopa, and the whole judiciary is aware of this. So this Mzigamanda guy, who is supposed to be our Chief Justice, without any justifications. He doesn't have a prior history of human rights, of refugee law, and all that. If there was anyone at that time, it was Professor Kapindu, who should have got, if there was any justification to be, maybe because we know he's educated or in the regard of humanitarian law. I have not forgotten what you did, Mzigamanda, with refugees, because I called you out during that time, and I have not forgotten how Kenyatta Nyirenda, what he did to the refugees. Amango carry the makesi. Amango carry, and there's systematic, there's empirical evidence to what I'm telling you. We can't, as a country, allow and and get away. We can't. We can't go, and people have to be held accountable. And and the treatment of our fellow Africans in a very shameful manner, in an illegal way, was led by Zikari Ngoma, by Dr. Steve Kayuni, and by Kenyatta Nyirenda. So we need to how gulu, including Anyamata Japan, and the Milandu, imenenali court before Michongwe, worship Michongwe, and before, and the defense lawyer was Kwima Mchizi, my now friend Kwima Mchizi, and who was prosecuting Boma and the many banga prosecute Anyamata maka amene anakabanda lama kusalima. Muntamene at some point became my client, so he disclosed to me everything, and it was sad how these people are being treated, including by immigration. Immigration was at the heart of violating the rights of these people. The way a government treats foreigners, the vulnerable, the most vulnerable people, reflects the status of your civilization as a country. I have made arguments, I have argued for years that the way a country treats the most vulnerable population reflects the status at which their civilization is at. Ngati anthu tili quick kuponderezana mdziko lathu kuwagwirirana chabe, there's a lot of instances of gwirira or human trafficking or depressing or corporal punishment, and people move on. If Musa John is arrested and kunamizidwa mlandu kumangidwa mpaka kupasidwa 9 years sentence or 8 years sentence kumpilisaso kundende ya anthu akuluakulu, andi simukusuntha anthu dziko lo anthu simukuona kuti it shows kuti dziko lanu sinapite pachitsogolo. Mavuto amene they're not unique. Andale wamene amatembenuzira zinthu akulephera kuyendesa dziko kufuna kunamizira anthu obwera, it's not unique. Kumapeto kwake zimene anapanga MCP atagwira makontena, makamba za makontena aja after some time zinthu azisunga oka ma order amene amaperekedwa ku court obalalika oka akinyenda nyenda wena kumangidwa. Just give me some time. But he has to be arrested for so many reasons, including my issues zakajaje. In fact, Kenya nyenda wina umangidwa just nkhani yakajaje mena na yendesera nkhani yakajaje. But there are so many things. Wakuba manager, he's very corrupt. Is he hardworking? Yes. Sometimes does he write judgments? Yes, Kenyatta Nyenda is hardworking. He writes judgments. Yes, ama yesesa kulemba ma judgment. But dude is corrupt. Abo maaja analanda makontena aja kukhala nawo miezi kena wakuti iya tibwere tonse tizaone tuzapanga search inu zinthu zimakhala nazo zaka who advises the police during this time? Amene mapanga advise police ni ndani? Like, how can you keep something for years, for months, and then say disaster using? Kumapoti ya police agenda atulo anatsegula zinthu zakuseja ataseja anapeza kuti munali demo zimausa amana mazita. There was one container man anapeza bullets, but he didn't explain. There were no guns as they said. There was no machines making money. They had no justification for taking those containers. So those people that lost their property, so they are now kabena kuli chanchani, kali ku Rwanda, kali ku Burundi. Inua advocacy has all documentation, and the government will pay. Antu amene anabanga izi ndikuyangana makontena aja kwasungira anthu makontena awo ma business awo wasokonezera. They are free. Amene anajera ndalama mmene muja makan zinthu zambiri. Those people had, Mabulundi amalimbikira, Rwandiza amalimbikira, anthu obwera ochokera maiko ena amalimbikira mene anthu ochoka ku Malawi akapita dziko lina amalimbikira. Simungaziweso inu mmene amagwirira ntchito, how hardworking they are. Simungaziweso ife mongati ku Malawi tinkapanga malive chonchi tatikoneni pano mmene tikulimbikirira malive kufotokoza. These lives take a lot of energy. Koma chifukwa tikunja taphunzira utima ukaenda muja umaphunzira zinthu, umayang'ana anthu mmene akwa ndio umakhala kuti zonse zikudalira iweyo. Lero sikuti ukakhala kuti ulibe nchere upita kwa neighbor chanchani ungopanga za iweyo kuti ababa lenti yanga ndipeze fwa ndeti kakanika. So people ready to work hard, and that's what happens with the Burunders. If I'm gonna successful, there's nothing else. Uda kupangira ni mankhwala kapena kuda kutanta amalimbikira, and mumaziona so iniyo. I remember vividly that time ukamaenda ma trading wonse amajita kuinvesta chisoni. Investa chisoni, ma trading shops were closed. People could not access them, and kumakani ndama kumali pera kugula ifodi zinu zose zindi Mabulundi Rwandese, because antu andamena amata. Of course corruption comes in as well, because you create an environment where these people cannot work sometimes unless they are corrupt. They can't get any service unless they're corrupt, so they are forced to be corrupt.